Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We went to movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained as pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the feeling bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge sent us podcast. Hey.
You remind me of the babe. Babe with the power.
What power?
Power of voodoo.
Voodoo?
You do.
What?
Remind me of the babe.
What? A goblin babe.
Well,
I saw my baby crying hard as babe could cry. What could I do? My baby's love had gone and left my baby blue. Nobody knew what kind of magic.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Sent Us podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters and dos sweetie sisters talk about their favorite flicks from childhood. I'm Sweetie.
But I'm Sweetie.
And we are brought to you today by our
Sponsor.
homeland, our homeland on the Cape of Cod.
We're coming at you live. Not live. This is taped.
This is, I know, that's wrong.
We're coming at you taped from
Cape Cod,
Harwich, Massachusetts.
Harwich, MA.
If you remember, we did Karate Kid, a fabulous episode from the basement of this house. We are not in the basement today, though, are we?
No, we aren't. Folks, we are in the dining room.
Moving on up. Moving on up.
Our mother is in Italy, so we are house sitting.
Buongiorno.
We are house sitting.
Ciao, bella.
Thank you. And
Avila
grazie,
Scalabrini.
grazie.
Grazie.
Pronto.
Prego. Okay.
And so now we can record the podcast here. And you know what? We can be as loud as we want to be. We can sing as loud as we want.
I know.
And it's going to be great.
I know.
So, for today, last week, or a few weeks in a row, Sweetie here complained that she felt we needed to get back into the 80s.
Yeah.
So I thought, what better way to get back into the 80s than with I think it's just Labyrinth.
I'm like totally one of those people who adds like
The
does onto
I know.
everything.
Well, I was doing it today, and then I was like, wait, I think it's just Labyrinth.
Yeah, I feel like I did that just
Yes. So, released in the year of my birth, 1986. It was a very good year.
Is there a spiritual movie or spiritual animal
I came
movie?
out of the womb. You remind me of the babe.
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 No, it's not my spiritual movie. I didn't really see it until like 5 years ago. Was the first time I saw it.
Oh my god!
And I was not impressed. I think it's because I did not see it when I was little, so I don't have that nostalgic connection to it, like I did with The Neverending Story, which I just feel is more magical.
Agreed. I mean, I did see this when I was little, and I don't have as strong of a connection with it to people because I think it is many times creepy and gross.
It's very gross.
And for me, doesn't hold up.
Okay.
Is something that is just all about the 80s all the time. I love David Bowie. I really do. This is not a mark against him. However, I feel like this movie is an extended music video for David Bowie. God bless him and those amazing songs because they're fun songs.
And his pants.
And his amazing pants and possibly padded junk.
Yep.
But I don't know about this movie. Okay? That is how I'm going to phrase it, and then we can talk about it. But
Great. I can't wait.
yeah.
Please don't hate us too much. Just know that I think that there are two kinds of people in this world. Labyrinth people and Neverending Story people. And we're just Neverending Story people. I'm sorry. That's just...
It's
the way-
just what you
the way it
gravitate
is.
towards. Is it
That's
creepy
just-
Muppets or is it childlike empresses? You decide.
That's just the way it is.
Things will never be the same.
I was hoping you would change the lyrics for the...
I always forget to.
All right, that's fine. Okay, so...
We can dance if we want to. We can leave your world behind. I've been singing that
Different
all
song.
day today. But I don't know. This reminds me. I think I confused that song with the Jump Magic Jump song. I almost said Junk Magic Junk, which is totally what David Bowie has.
It should be what it's
he
called.
He has Junk Magic Junk.
I think that's the act. That was the original title, and then when they screened it with audiences, they were like,
"It's so brilliant."
They were like, "This feels inappropriate," so they changed
Freudian
it.
slip, if you will.
So, all right. So we'll get into it. I'm gonna need your help through some of this synopsis because I still don't get it. / wasn't paying attention.
I forgot some of the end. That whole end scene. What? Oops.
Not sure. Okay, so we'll try as best we can. Go.
All right. It's time for the sweetie synopsis.
Yeah, sweeties, the babe. Sarah, no last name, is a 16-year-old spoiled brat face who seems to spend her days frolicking in fields, rehearsing lines from Labyrinth, which is a book.
Yes.
It's not like
or
a play.
Maybe a play.
It's unclear.
Yeah.
She's like stuck in this fantasy world.
I know. It's like
she wears a
just seems
dress
little
and
old
like
for that.
frolics around, right? That's what I
Little old
said.
for that. That's
So-
why I was like, is she 16?
Right.
So I think she should have been like 13.
Right. And her stepmom's like, you should be dating. And
Right.
like, I was like, what? How old is she? But she's 16 apparently. Yeah. I mean, it's
She just seems a little young to be doing that.
it's questionable. But are you ever too young? You mean she's too old to be doing that?
Yeah. I
Are
mean,
you ever too
the
old
theme of
to-
the movie by the end being like she does leave that world behind in some ways.
But they're still in the mirror, and she still has a monster party after. So
Right, because then in the end they're all like, if you need us, we're here.
she's like,
So
I need you.
she will always like have them, but she
guess.
grows up in
I'll
this
tell you my
experience.
theory about the movie after this. It's kind of a buzzkill, but I'm confident that it's the correct path. Okay. So anyways, she's frolicking around. She's like reading the... I thought that was the cat. She's trying to rehearse these Labyrinth lines, and then she's like, shit, I have to go home. I was supposed to be home like an hour ago. Runs home. Her stepmom's like, what the fuck? I told you to be home an hour ago. You're not. Way to go. And Sarah freaks out and is like, it's not fair. I have a life, I could be doing things. I have plans. And I'm like, you don't have plans. You're just reading Labyrinth and reciting lines from it.
Right. And also, like, shitty babysitter. If you tell someone that you're going to babysit, don't be an hour late.
She's got
It's not their
attitude.
fault.
She's got attitude.
Yeah. I mean, she's that age. I don't blame her.
So her dad and stepmom go out every Saturday or whatever, and Sarah has to babysit. She hates her little brother Toby, who's like a sweet angel baby, but he cries all the time.
Hates a baby.
Probably because his sister is mean to him. That's just my theory. So she's super mean to him. She like picks him up and is like, I hate you. And is like, who says that? Especially when they're 16 years old. I get that when you're much younger and you haven't really come to terms with the whole like jealousy, this baby's cute, I'm not kind of thing.
Hello, you're 16 years older than this child.
Like, get a life. And the reason she hates him so much is because she's like in her room and her favorite teddy bear or whatever the fuck is missing, and she's like, someone's been in my room. It must have been Toby.
Toby, the baby who can't walk or crawl yet.
And she goes into his room and sees the bear and is like, you bastard. It's so weird. So
It is
so
really
then she
weird.
like holds the baby up and she like starts saying the magic words that will like make the Goblin King take her little brother. So she says them, and it's not, okay, here's my other problem is that if there is something this diabolical that is possible of happening, I feel like the magic words should be a little more like strong, like harder to say or do. She literally, all she had to do was say, I wish you would take my baby brother away.
Yeah, would take my brother away.
It's like
Right now.
anybody could
You'd
say
say
that
right
now.
now.
I don't know.
That's like the key word.
I don't know. It just seems like a little shoddy
But
push.
she does it, and it kind of goes like back and forth. Like, is she going to say it? She's not going to say it. And then they like switch to these little goblins like underneath, I don't know, the ground or whatever, being like, is she going to say it? They have this like funny accent. Oh, you dummy. She doesn't know the word.
Shut up.
Yeah. So they're all like crowded together. And she like doesn't say it, almost says it, doesn't say it. It's like kind of this exhausting part, which I imagine is like the whole movie is like kind of exhausting with the back and forth of like so many different scenes. But anyway, so finally she says it, and then the baby stops crying. Toby, why aren't you crying anymore?
Yeah, and she goes back in, and he's missing. He's not there.
Uh-oh.
You know why? Because the Goblin King took him like she wanted.
But good news.
So what? Oh, what's the good news?
The Goblin King is David Bowie.
Oh, right. So this owl swoops in, transforms into David Bowie. It's like tight pants, this like giant package, like pouring out.
What I would say a mullet, punk rocker mullet. Let's
like
say
that red wig we had that I donned for when we did.
Linda Burt.
Yep.
Short of the top,
Yeah.
spiky, but like spiky. Not like the mullet where it's like matted down, but it's like spiky. So it's like punk rocker, but then long party in the bottom.
I think it's just it's the
pretty
party
cool
like
eyeshadow.
everywhere. Yeah.
Pretty cool eyeshadow. Yep, tight pants, a belt. He has a pretty cool necklace. Goes with like vests or occasionally these like big jackets with like these like pointy collars.
He's versatile. He has a style,
Big
but he
boots.
like switches it up. So he's like, oh, you said you wanted me to take your brother, so I did. And now she has to go through the labyrinth to find him and get to the Goblin Castle.
Yeah.
What's that called? Through the Goblin City to the castle and find her brother.
Goblin City.
Whatever. So she's like, cool. Going to the labyrinth.
Right. And she seems really positive and excited about it
Yeah.
at first.
She's like, I can do this. I read the book.
I get my baby brother back. It's like so
I love the
awesome.
deal.
Not as easy as it looks.
No, there's-
But the labyrinth doesn't look easy. That shit looked hard.
From far away, it looked very hard. You're right. So I was concerned about her level of optimism.
Optimism was like,
Too high.
yeah, she was cocky.
In addition to that, though, there's a lot of mean tricks. Like, you can't tell that there are walls and, like, turns and labyrinth, and you would only know if this, like, little cute worm told you. And there's, like, creatures all over the place and weird things. So the whole movie is her kind of going through the labyrinth and picking up some friends along the way. She meets
and finding bad guys too.
And bad
So it's
guys.
like bad guys and friends. Who's who?
So there's Hoggle, who she meets first. He's like pissing in the water, which is very grotesque.
And like a Hoggle's undetermined thing. I don't think he's a goblin, really.
I think he is because he likes treasure and like jewelry. So I thought
Is that
was
a quality
like,
of a goblin?
according to Harry Potter. Yes.
Oh, true.
So
Who knows if that's the same world. It isn't.
well, I think it is. I think she stole a few things from this,
Oh,
which
damn.
I will get into.
Okay. Well, the Hogwarts thing was in the trivia. Did you see that?
No.
Okay.
We'll talk about it later. So Hoggle is very torn between doing what the Goblin King wants him to do and helping Sarah, because he does tend to like Sarah, even though she's kind of a bitch and she doesn't get his name right for the first like 20 minutes, which is really rude. So he's kind of dealing with that. There's this big furry beast named Ludo, who's sweet. He's got horns. He's menacing looking, but he's a gentle giant. Is my favorite term. Real sweet. He has a real kinship with rocks, which is an unusual trait. I don't see that a lot.
Friends.
We don't see that a lot today. No one's really friends with rocks. And then the third one,
Didymus. Sir Didymus.
Sweetie's
I wanna
favorite.
make sure that's my favorite character by far, with his sweet little dog Ambrosius. They're so
He's like
cute.
a fox.
Yeah, I would say like a fox, a
Pirate?
British fox, because he's like this
British pirate fox.
British pirate fox. And his little like companion is this Ambrosius, which is a sheepdog, basically, that he uses as like a horse. It's pretty great, adorable,
Yeah.
and he's so cocky and like wants to fight everyone, even though he's like so tiny and cute, but like really polite. And he always calls Sarah. He's like, "My lady." Yeah, it's adorable. I cannot spell labyrinth to save my life. Did you spell
Labyrinth. Labyrinth. Use it in a sentence,
Labby.
please.
Labyrinth?
Yes. How are you spelling it?
I don't want to tell you.
Oh, I told you how I spelled Tone Loc last time. Tonlachi, you know.
Tonlachi.
My favorite artist. What are you
Wrong.
looking for?
Didymus.
Why? You know that's his name.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I don't want to say it right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Anywho, so those are her 3 companions. So they go through the labyrinth, they get into all kinds of obstacles. Finally, they reach the Goblin City. And it's a bit of a ruckus.
Yep.
It's a bit of a ruckus. A lot of goblins.
Yep, they call it the Goblin Army.
The Goblin Army, which is, you can imagine. It's pretty intense.
Pretty intense. I was going to say that.
So there's a skirmish. It ends with Ludo calling upon his friends, the Rocks, to save the day. They get through that and they get to the castle. The Goblin King has left the building with the baby. Has he? Wait, where did he go?
No, he was there. Remember they turned into the crazy stairwell thing?
Oh, yeah.
Where he that was a scene that went on 8 years.
I know.
Too long.
I was like,
I'm
what's
"Can we get
happening
this over
here?
with?"
So she's the baby. She's got 5 minutes left to get this baby back before he's the Goblin King's forever. And then she has a confrontation with the Goblin King, and then she says the final thing that she's been trying to remember since the beginning, which is you have no power over me, which is the easiest line to remember. Why did she not remember that?
Sometimes you just don't.
Well, suspicious. So that's the key, I guess. And she gets Toby back, and she's back in the real world now, and Toby's back sleeping peacefully like the sweet angel baby he is. And everything's great. And she looks in the mirror and she sees her friends and they're like, we'll be here if you need us, don't forget. And she's like, I need you to have a party. And then they do this they do a dance, there's confetti, it's a monster party, it's great. The Goblin King's outside and he's like, no one wants to hang out with me. I'm a slow, sad little owl now. Fly away.
But I think the point being she needed to learn to grow up. Check. But you can still have fun and you can balance your fantasy side and wanting to be a kid with your new responsibilities of growing up. She was just stuck in her little fantasy world, and it took her going to the fantasy world actually to grow up and
okay, that's interesting.
realize. Yeah, I
That
think
makes
that
sense.
is the
Sure.
a coming of age film, if you will.
Here's my theory. And I haven't done any research on this. This is all coming from the old noggin. Maybe somebody else has the same theory, but I didn't steal it, I swear. I watched the movie and this is what I thought. Okay. I think that she accidentally killed her baby brother Toby in the beginning because it was pretty clear she was heading towards that area. She was at 2 seconds away from shaking him and killing him. I'm just saying. It looked dire. So I think that
You look dire.
I think that mentally she was unstable and her psyche broke apart when that happened, and she invented this world because everything in this world was already in her world before it happened, just like the Return to Oz.
I was gonna say.
So all the little things in her room, there's even pictures of David Bowie around.
Right.
It's stuff like that. So I think that she created this in her head, and that it's her way of coping with the fact that she accidentally killed her little brother, and she feels bad about it. So this was her way to fix it.
Yeah, but Toby's okay.
In her dream world.
No, it's not
We
in the
don't-
dream world anymore.
No.
No.
Yep.
That's,
Yep. Nope. It's true.
good-
It's true.
Good theory, but that's just a little too violent for Jim Henson, I'm going to say.
Well, sure. I'm not saying it's the theory, but I think that it's a possibility.
She was just frustrated with the baby. If you're babysitting a baby before and he cries forever, that's fucking frustrating. I agree.
No. She was like, what's that lady that killed the baby? Shaking it? The nanny? I don't know. It was that situation.
Louise Woodward
Yeah. It was that kind of
in
situation.
Massachusetts.
I don't know.
The British nanny.
British? See, that everyone's in this is British. It's weird. All the puppets are like, I'm talking a British accent. I'm a tiny worm. Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Hello. But yeah, so that's
The
that.
garbage lady.
So the movie is super 80s. Obviously, it's Jim Henson, so there's a lot of puppets. So many puppets. Either controlled by puppeteers or little people in puppet suits, right?
Let's call them costumes.
I like puppet suits. So there's a lot of moving pieces here, a lot of very creative creatures. That being said, I think that the problem I have with this is that the puppets are too gross looking.
Yes, thank you. Okay, this is my problem with it. This movie, for me, there is a fine line between Muppets being cute and interesting, and then creepy and gross. So it goes and some of them were kind of cool and interesting.
Maybe just the bad ones were the creepy gross ones, and that
Yeah,
was intentional.
Right. Okay. Well,
But there were just so many, and
I feel like it was over Muppeted.
Yeah, I think that for me, they need to look more puppety. Like, is it possible that Jim Henson's like too good at his job and made them like too realistic kind of looking? And that's where the magic kind of unfolds for me, because I'm like, that's just a gross thing.
Well, and then like, I mean, obviously the goblins like all kind of looked alike, which was fine. But then like, so many of them were like weird old men with like mustaches, you know,
and different ethnicities.
Yeah. And like with a bird on their head,
Confusing.
or this or that, and like say like the door knockers, like that was really cool and interesting. Like that was, they weren't gross. That was like so cool.
Yeah. But
then so many were like, and then they were like all these like weird ones on these kind of horseback kind of things, but they like weren't horses, and like helmets on their heads. I don't know. It just got like too much of that stuff, and I don't know. Just most of them for me are like, it's just cringeworthy grossness for me. And I don't know if I thought about that like when I was little. I'm sure I thought it was kind of like cool and spooky. I think it was more like creepy to me as a little kid.
Yeah, it definitely feels a lot.
And the beginning is like scary.
Yeah.
So I was like, the scene where like the Toby stops crying, she's like, Toby? And like puts on the light, it doesn't work. And then like there's this weird movement where the baby was. It's like, and this like crazy little goblin is like, I don't know, like pretending to be the baby.
It's definitely
and she
scary.
pulls over the covers and there's nothing there, thank God. But then the second creepiest part is when like Jareth is like talking to her, and then there's all these weird little goblins like around the room that would turn and would like just miss one, but you see like just some like weird little tuft of hair or like this little fur ball or like something. Yeah. Oh, it's just creepy.
There's a lot
I don't
of
know.
them.
It was like so that was like the whole feeling of the movie, and like to be creeped out like that as a kid, even though it's like an innocent way because it's with Muppets. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I know what you mean. I had the same reaction to Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and that it just still gives me such like a creepy feeling when I think about it and watch it. But yeah, this is definitely on the scarier side of things, of fantasy children movies. It's quite scary.
And like there's the one like maybe nice part I would say was the part where after she eats the poisoned peach, or the peach that like makes her like dream and not care about stuff. And she has that like pseudo like love fest with like Jareth, which is a whole nother thing we'll talk about. That part is really pretty, and I remember watching it when I was little and being like, "Oh, I want that dress!" And like her hair is so like big and poofy,
so big,
and she has all the fun stuff in her hair and like those big chandelier earrings. And I was like, "Oh, I want to like be like her. It's so pretty." But then it's that weird thing with like, what is that called? With the masks, masquerade, yeah. That kind of creepy weirdness with Masquerade, where you have those ugly masks that like, you know, with the big pointy noses, or like Jareth has this like weird creepy like devil hand.
Yeah, it's teeny though. It's like, ugh.
Yeah. Ugh. See, like
I hate teeny
all
hands.
the little touches are like
puppet hands.
icky.
Yeah, it's icky. But I admire the creativity, and
oh my god, so creative.
It's a lot of layers and a lot of levels.
No, a brilliant film.
It's just something about it doesn't speak to me. And I think it might be the song and dance. Like, I just, I know this is very controversial, but I just feel like it didn't need to be a musical. The dance numbers are so awkward. I feel like David Bowie is just like not feeling it.
No, exactly. The dance magic dance. Oh my god, his dance moves, you want to call them that? It was like weird two-stepping.
Yes. And it's like he's not. First of all, you have to give him some sympathy because he's dancing with literally 50 puppets. And he's like in bizarre clothes, and he's like, here I go, doing the dance magic dance number. And like,
my one.
I just can't. I just feel bad. It's how the same way I felt watching Blue's Clues. I was like, this guy literally is just acting by himself in a green screen.
And I just feel like you can see it in his eyes. They're like, it's like,
Yeah,
help me. I regret this choice.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
Oh, and it's like, you know, he's like being a really good sport about it. And you're like, go, David Bowie, go. But like, oh god,
Dance magic dance, and he like does like a thing.
and then in that scene we're like cracking up because he like throws the baby, and it's like this horrible like My Buddy rag doll.
It's so bad.
Like blonde, his pointy blonde hair.
Although they did like toss the real baby, not the doll baby, but the real baby around like quite a bit. Yeah. So my thought was like, is that baby fucked up now or what? He had to like
MVP
stand in a thing surrounded by scary goblin puppets, and he was just screaming and crying.
MVP Toby, wherever you are.
Get this. So he's the guy, the art guy's son or whatever. And he actually is an art person now, and he is doing a lot of the art for like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was his big one. So he's doing well, and he's following in his father's footsteps.
Yeah.
But God bless him. That baby had a hard
apparently
job.
like he was not, little baby like loved being around all those puppets and like never got upset.
It was terrifying. What? He looked very upset in that scene.
So to make him upset, they like any of the crying scenes they had to film at the end of the day when he was really tired, and they kept him from having a nap. So they kept him up, and like
that
he could
seems
got
wrong.
cranky.
That seems very wrong.
But he loved all the like the goblins.
Of course, he's probably been around that shit like forever, and it's like in his blood. Good old Tobes.
Yeah.
Good old Tobe.
And I also want to clarify on Twitter this week when we were talking about this movie, I thought his name, the Goblin King's name was Jared. I'm sorry. And I made a huge deal out of it. And I was like, why? My first problem with this movie is like, why is the Goblin King name Jared? That's something like someone with boat shoes. That's like a preppy guy who wears like vineyard vines and like salmon colored pants.
But nobody said anything.
I know. So for everyone, just so you know, it's Jareth with a TH sound, much more goblin-esque. So good job.
I don't know. Is it? It's still like a bullshit name. Like, why does
wish
it
it
need a
was
name?
Jared.
I feel like he should just be like the Goblin King. Yeah. Maybe GK for short. I don't know. It's still weird. And when David Bowie says it, it definitely sounds like Jared.
Jared. That's why when I was like, oh, Jared, good old Jared's the Goblin King.
He went to Jareth.
Yeah, so that was our whole movie watching experience.
He went to Jareth and got me these crystal balls. They're so beautiful. I can't believe it.
He went to Jareth. We just kept saying that the whole time we watched it. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good one.
He went to Jareth and got me this baby.
The babe. Yeah. He reminded me of the babe.
So funny.
Yeah. But yeah, poor David Bowie. But I mean, I'm sure he had a fun time.
It was a blast.
Yeah.
And he always wanted to do like a kids movie, I read. And this was a perfect vehicle for him. Obviously, he wrote all those songs. The songs are cool. I mean, they're very David Bowie-esque. And I'm not a huge David Bowie fan. I like appreciate him so much, and I think he's the coolest person. Like he's just such a cool guy.
But they're fine songs. It's not like
Yeah.
The Worst Witch.
No,
those songs that were terrible.
Such good songs, but like I mean, so 80s.
Yeah.
And so I mean, which is very much David Bowie. Like he just fits in this time so well. I don't know. I mean, I like the Magic Dance one too. The other ones are so schmaltzy. I'm just not. I was not into the. They're like weird love songs. You're like, wait a minute, like,
is he in love with her? Yeah,
you just don't seem to be her type.
Also, you stole her baby brother and made her go through this like
also
shitty ass labyrinth.
Too old.
Yeah, and your penis is very inappropriate.
Yeah,
I find that very inappropriate for a kids movie. It's like put it away.
Okay, it wasn't just me. I was like, wow,
no, this is everybody.
I think they made him had a dance belt.
Wouldn't he have to so he didn't like get boners and stuff?
Why would he be getting boners around puppets?
Tight pants? I don't know. You just like if you wear tight pants, I thought it just happened.
I don't know.
He needed to keep tight in there and like, but no, it's very distracting. I can't get around that. So do you have a favorite part of the Labyrinth journey? We'll go favorite and least favorite parts. Okay. I know what your least favorite part is, but tell us your favorite part.
I mean, I had a new appreciation for that. The scene, like when they do meet Didymus and Ambrosius with like over the bridge, and that was kind of cool. And like I think that scene is really funny, and that's like one of my favorite characters. Like I said, Didymus, and he like kind of battles with Ludo, and then like Sarah like crosses the bridge, and he's like, "Oh, this bridge is stable. It's 1,000 years old. And he like hits it with his little thing, and it like crumbles. So then she's like hanging from the like, and it's this bog of eternal stench. Which if you fall into the bog, you will stink forever. Totally.
So you won't die? I thought you died or something.
No.
Oh,
so you just
that's
like
not
smell
the
forever.
worst.
No, but it's like the worst smell you've ever smelled. That's
yeah,
pretty
and there's
bad.
these like there's this disgusting like butthole shaped crater in the middle, like bubbling up poop and
fart noises.
And it makes fart noises.
Yeah. So then so Sarah's like dangling in this branch, and like she's about to fall in the bog, and so then Ludo calls all his rocks, and they come rolling, and they like pop up from the thing, and so she steps on them. But when she steps on it, makes this awesome farting noise. Oh my god!
Like all different levels of farts.
Yeah. So when Ludo does it, he it's a little slower because he like goes over the rocks really slow. So it's like a little tiny one. And then when Ambrosius and Didymus go by, like Ambrosius is a scared dog. He's like scared of everything. So Didymus is like, just close your eyes and run. And he like runs across the rocks. It's like.
It's pretty great.
So I was cracking up. So that was my favorite scene.
That was funny. I really like the little worm in the beginning. He's wearing this like little scarf, and he's like, "Hello, like hello, how are you? I'm in this labyrinth, but I can't give you any help."
I like when she was like, "Did you say hello?" It's like, "No, I said hello, but I was pretty
close enough. Like, won't you come in and say hello to the missus?
Gonna have a cuppa."
So cute.
That was really cute.
I wish I could take him home in my pocket.
Yeah.
I like that part, and I like the part with the two doors, and one like tells the truth and one doesn't. Which
funny.
also, but although that scene reminds me of like logic puzzles that I just hate.
know.
Like my head.
Well, it's supposed to make you feel like.
I know, but like when shit like that happens, I just zone out, and I'm like, I'm not even gonna think about it.
No, it didn't
I'm
make
just gonna
any
like,
sense at all.
I'm just like in my head, I'm just like, fuck this shit, fuck this shit, fuck this shit.
She like, and it was funny because obviously she tried to rationalize it, and she's like, "I'm getting smarter while I'm here," and then makes her own mistake. Like,
Yeah.
idiot.
Dummy.
Dummy.
I feel like we say that a lot. We're like, we sound smart on this one. This thing. But yeah, I liked that part.
Dummy.
So least favorite parts.
I have two.
Okay. So for me, of her going through the labyrinth, not like the whole movie, right?
Not the
I
whole
think that's what I determined. Oh. No, well, I guess mine would be like the same as yours. I don't love any of the goblin parts. I think they're boring.
Yeah. I think so many of this. Well, okay, I'll talk about this after. But do you want me to say my parts? And
Yeah.
Tag team. Okay, so my first one. Okay. So were those things called firies or something? Okay, there's these disgusting. How do I describe it? Okay, my first word was gross. Second word was Rastafarian, which like may seem racist, but they like make them into like weird reggae people. And the song is like kind of reggae-ish, kind of, right? Mm-hmm. There are a combination of birds, dragons, and foxes.
But with regular human people feet.
Yeah. So it's like, the limbs are almost like the worst part of it. So they're like, hey, and they like sing this song like, don't lose your head.
Hey,
and they, like, talk
lady.
like that. Yeah, they're like, hey,
lady.
oh, like you gonna lose your head now too? And they're like, they try to take her head off. So basically they like assault her, and they're these bright pink orange with like all these weird feathers, but sometimes they have these like weird snouts. They all look like a little bit different. And there's like 4 or 5 of them. They do this really creepy dance. And then they take each other's heads off, or their heads come off, and they throw them at each other, and they use them as like tossing them around. So that's like their whole thing. And then it's like different body parts, like their feet fall off, their like
take
legs
everything
fall
off.
Yeah,
They want.
so gross. So they're like, lady, let's take off your head. And they're like, your head doesn't come off. And they try to take her head off, and she's like, get away from me and get away. And she's like running, and they just keep like jumping up out of nowhere. And it was like, like I just kept, it was like, I'm probably gonna have nightmares about it tonight. It's disgusting.
She was so upset.
It was basically like sexual assault. I'm not kidding you. Disgusting. Stop. She's like, go away, leave me alone, and they won't leave her alone.
Yeah, so that's just like assault. It's not, I don't know if it was sexual. They were just stalking her, but yeah, she was like freaking out over there. I could like feel her like being upset over there, and when their heads kept flying up, she'd be like,
so gross. And even when they're almost off camera, there'll be like one little head that like comes
But the
up.
worst part is that at the end, when she calls her friends back for a monster party, they're there. Those people are there. Those things are there.
That
like,
was fucked
what?
up. Like, you don't want them at your fucking
No,
party.
and the goblins are there too.
Disaster.
And I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know what it
that's
means.
awful.
No, but yeah, that was creepy. I blame their feet. They were like real feet. Very unfortunate. Very creepy. Okay, second one, go.
Oh, I hate the dump scene. So she like ends up after eating the peach and then having like that weird like dream thing in the snow globe or like whatever that is. And she gets dumped into this landfill essentially with like all this gross stuff. And there's this old woman, like a vagabond like bag lady or whatever, with like all this garbage on her back, and she's like, ha! She's has that British like kind of Cockney accent, like I'm thinking the Galena or Belina one, but it's like that,
It's
but
like
not.
that. Yeah, it kind of is.
I was doing it before, and I can't do it now. Anyway, so she's like, you want your treasures? Like, come into this room. So she like, you'd like all this stuff in here. So she takes her into this place, and it's her room. So she thinks she's home, and she's kind of in this weird daze, and like the peach that Jareth gave her makes her like forget her mission. Like that was the whole point of the peach. And she's like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm supposed to be like doing something. And the like weird bag lady is like giving her all these little things in her room. Like, like here's your Charlie bear. Like, here's your slippers. Here's this, here's that. And she's just like piling all this shit on her. I hate that part so much. Oh, here. Oh, this isn't junk.
Is it because you don't like clutter?
No, it just feels so wrong because it's like supposed to be her room and it's like safe and sound.
You
and
look
she,
like her right now.
Recognizes all her things, and it's supposed to like comfort her, but it doesn't comfort her.
It's not what she was looking for.
No,
She's
I know.
trying to
but it's
distract
just,
her
like,
again.
And that woman's like face is so nasty
Yeah,
because
her-
she keeps realizing
her
like,
face
oh,
is
she's
very
like
nasty.
catching on,
Very
and she keeps being like,
nasty.
oh no, like here's your slippers, like try your slippers. I hate it. I just want to like throw that lady against the wall. I just don't like her.
God, violent. Okay. All right. Well, I agree with those. Yeah, those were my least favorite parts as well.
I agree with those. You're crazy.
No. I believe you. I believe. Okay. So, I mean, and then also I think the parts that stick with me the most are when she falls through like that hole in the floor, and then all the hands like catch her. That part's really cool, really
cool.
creepy. That was interesting.
Yeah. I wish there was more of those.
Yeah.
You know, it was just so much. It was like so much default on Muppets.
Right. I see what
That
you're saying.
it
I
was
see what
just
you're saying.
like the creative stuff. Not that I mean, that's like it's so stupid to say that about this movie when it is so creative and original. So it's like, oh, this wasn't original enough. That's not what we're saying at all. No. Just that like
Too many Muppets,
Yeah.
not enough other non-Muppets.
right.
Just I think it would have helped.
And like because like the thing with Muppets is like okay, like let's say like the Muppet Show where you have like all those little characters, right? But those are like character Muppets that can like carry a whole thing. These are very like ambiguous, just like not totally any kind of characters. They're just like thrown in there to be like part of the scenery almost.
Yeah.
So you're not like obviously all her little friends you really connect with, which is great and that really works. But like everything else, you're just like, this is like too much Muppet.
Definitely too much. Definitely too much Muppet. Okay, so getting back to how I think J.K. Rowling stole a few things from Harry Potter. So obviously she thinks that, Sarah thinks that Hoggle's name is Hogwart. She keeps thinking it's that. So what was the trivia
So
on
that
IMDb?
is a I mean, you do your thing first. I'm going to find it. It was something with like British something.
Okay. Well, obviously, Hogwarts, Harry Potter. Hello, duh, duh. Okay, so there's that. There's like the whole like goblin design. The design of goblins is very similar to how they look in Harry Potter, and their lure of like jewels and always being a little tricksy, saying they'll do one thing but like doing it but not in the way that you think. There's that aspect of it. The snowy owl is very Hedwig. Ludo reminds me of Grop, Hagrid's half-giant brother. Like the way he says names. I don't know. It's just like some things. There's some things that are very
special. So it says in an early instance, Sarah calls him Hogwart. Hogwart originally comes from the famous British humor book The Complete Molesworth by Jeffrey Willens and Ronald Searle.
Okay.
So
Well,
I guess it's like an old British
I
thing.
mean, whatever. I still think she maybe was inspired by it, just like we think she was.
I think it's just like a
possibly
British,
inspired
thing
by the Worst Witch.
in British stuff too. But
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, so that was my thought. Do on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you love her dress in the masquerade ball scene?
yeah, no,
Love 10.
12.
12. That was not a choice. Okay. She's off the charts.
I
Yeah, it's
mean,
very beautiful. It reminds
so-
me of a Barbie I had
Yes.
called Happy Birthday Barbie.
Yeah.
And a big puffy dress, big puffy
Yeah.
sleeves. I like her hair goals, really.
Yeah,
for
so
me.
we haven't mentioned yet, but Jennifer Connelly
Yes.
is
yes.
Sarah. And such a beautiful lady. Oh my God. I mean, the real star of this movie is her eyebrows. She has the best eyebrows.
It's like any role, any movie she's in.
And they haven't
eyebrows.
changed since she was this age. I don't know how old she was when she filmed this, but
I think 16.
and it's funny because obviously she's like very young in this, and her face has like a little bit of baby fat and hasn't filled out. She's like such a beautiful woman. I mean, she's still completely gorgeous. But I was admiring her hair in this, thinking of a time when, like, remember when you got a haircut and they just be like, bloop, like on straight across on the bottom?
Yeah.
And now we're all about layers,
Yeah.
so there's never that just like blunt cutting. And I was like, man, I wish I had a blunt cut.
You still can. You can get it done.
Oh, I have too many layers now. But it's like, damn you, Jennifer Aniston.
Well, if you
for,
grow
like,
it all out. Jennifer
introducing-
Aniston.
Oh, I just feel like the layered haircut started in the 90s.
Oh.
Yeah, no, in the 90s with like Friends and
Like,
the
you're
layered
wrong. You're wrong.
haircuts.
Okay, I gotcha.
But yeah, but she's great in this, and I like just love her look. And obviously, as a dark-haired girl, I mean, I had eyebrows like that before I started plucking and waxing them. And I think as a little kid, I
Yeah.
really looked at her and being like, I just thought like, you know, we were.
She's
we were
good.
so
She
similar.
I just find Sarah to be very annoying.
Yeah, no, it's a tiring character.
And it's tricky. It's tricky for me.
Yeah.
I don't love her. But she's good. Sleepy baby time. What was I gonna say? It's funny that I'm still set on the fact that many of the creatures had British accents. It's like so weird to me.
Well,
I think that it's easy to do a funny character voice with another accent.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why.
Yeah.
I always gravitate towards the like Long Island medium voice, or like when I do my voices.
Yeah, I always do like Valley Girl.
You
Dumb
do Valley Girl, okay. I'm always like, "Hello, it's me. It's me, the puppet. What do you want? What do you want?
I always do like a drag out, like someone who seems not very intelligent.
Do you?
It's like so stupid.
Maybe we should do a puppet show.
Oh my God, I don't think so.
We're not as talented.
No, thank you.
Shoot, what else are we missing?
So fun fact about the crystal ball tricks.
Yes.
So there's like that kind of cool element of the Jareth character where he's this crystal ball kind of thing, and he like plays with it and does these cool moves. So it's not CGI, it's not animation, it is real, people. They used a real magician, right? Was that, or they call him a magician? And what they had him do was just stand behind David Bowie with his arms out, like manipulating that ball, or sometimes he had many balls. I'm sure he has at least two.
Probably got David
Let's
Bowie's
hope.
balls. These are here.
But
for me
crazy, and then
to
like
grab.
he didn't have any like way to tell like what was going on in front of him. Like he just did it.
So professional
Yeah,
and well
so
trained.
good for him. I hope he gets credited for his ball work.
I know David Bowie did, unfortunately.
the joke that keeps on giving.
He went to Jareth for the
He
ball.
went to Jareth.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. My friend Jessica loves this movie, and that was one of the trivia facts that she told me today in the car, and I thought it was pretty funny.
Pretty cool.
Also, that like David Bowie's teeth were real.
Yeah.
They are not. Yeah, you can say your story.
Okay. So I started watching this, and it's been like quite a long time since I've seen this movie. And I was like, whoa, wow, like they even gave David Bowie goblin teeth. And I thought about it for a couple beats, and I was like, nope, those are British teeth.
Yeah, so I guess he got his teeth fixed after this movie. So she told me that. She also told me that David Bowie is the voice of baby Toby
Oh, yeah.
in the Dance Magic Dance song. So a lot of good facts. She's very knowledgeable. She loves this movie.
Wow.
I felt bad because I was like, I don't think I love this movie.
Why did she say she loved it so much?
Just a lot of things about it. It just, I think she watched it like all the time. She would watch it like every, I forget the time frame she said, before David Bowie died.
Yeah.
She would watch it all the time, and now she hasn't watched it since he died, which is sad.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But I mean, it's just like, when you watch it at a certain point in your life, it really it sticks with you, and it needs a certain level of comfort, I'm sure, and I get that. I understand it, and I respect it.
I talked to my friend Robin before this, and she said it was her favorite as well. When she went to the video store, she always requested this movie, so she watched it like hundreds of times. Loved it. Yeah, but she also loved The Neverending Story. She saw it a little bit later than this one, but this was like her first
I don't believe it.
one. So she really is one who likes both, so that's kind of cool.
Was that a choice on my poll? I don't think so.
What? No, you said one was both are awesome. What are you talking about? Both are awesome. Was one of the choices.
What was that? Results. I'll pull it up. So I put a poll on Twitter that said, I have a theory that you're either a never-ending story person or a Labyrinth person. Let's prove it, or whatever. So the choices were never-ending story, Labyrinth, you're crazy, both rock, or neither, I'm a terrorist. So we got 69 votes total. And
Good showing.
my hypothesis was mostly correct because Labyrinth and the Neverending Story had about equal votes.
Okay.
But so did You're Crazy, Both Rock. So I guess my point was not proven. Surprisingly, a lot of people had seen neither films.
Right.
Which I'm shocked, absolutely shocked
And
about.
then the other pushback we got was everyone was like, what about Dark Crystal?
And what about this other movie? What about this other movie?
And I feel like I have heard that many times too. We have never seen Dark Crystal.
No.
And I think obviously similar Jim Henson puppet kind of stuff going on.
People say it's way better than
Okay,
Labyrinth,
yeah.
so we should watch it.
Yeah.
But I think that Neverending Story and Labyrinth are like the two seminal like 80s kids fantasy movies
Right.
that people think about.
Exactly.
I don't know if everyone necessarily thinks about Dark Crystal, so that's why
Right. That one's
that
a little
wasn't
bit
really
more
part of it.
niche.
Yeah. Only the cool kids know about that
But
one.
I just feel like for me, Neverending Story will hold up. I don't feel like this one does. I don't feel like there's as many like 80s beats, let's say, in the Neverending Story versus this one, which is like entrenched.
So what are
in it.
80s beats besides David Bowie?
Okay, so
like,
David Bowie being the big one, the awkward songs, like, too many Muppets. And like, I thought, and I brought this up in my notes, like, what is the current kid rating on this film? If you're a kid right now, if you're 6 or 7 years old and you watch this, because our kids are not as steeped in Muppets as kids of the 80s and like early 90s as we were. Muppets were like everywhere, and like that was a huge form of like our entertainment. And now they're like not. They're just not. Right?
But I think like the
Animation is just so much better today, and that's its own
yes.
thing. But there's not as many Muppets or puppet kind of shows.
But I think that the CGI today is very well done, that
right.
the kids would think that what they are seeing are the same thing. So like in Guardians of the Galaxy, like the raccoon
Okay.
could be considered a puppet. I think it's pretty well done.
But
I
that
think
was the
I can
crazy
see kids getting
thing.
confused and being like, oh yeah, that's just that thing I've always seen always.
Right. But that was the crazy and unique thing about the Muppets, right? Was that they were like almost doing animation like things, but it was all real. You know, it was like live animation almost, if you like think about it like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know what kids think about like puppets and Muppets today. Just because
You'll
it
have to
isn't
ask
as
them.
like ubiquitous, good word,
We'll have to ask them.
in their world. So that's why I don't think this movie, like if you sat a 7-year-old down in front of this movie and been like, I don't know what they would think. But I don't feel like that with the Neverending Story because it's not as Muppet heavy, first of all. And I just think the story is like a little bit better. Mm-hmm. This story being like this never-ending story and how you should always have an imagination and how much stories like mean to you as a person. And obviously like Bastion being like bullied and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. This story is not as strong to me as the Neverending Story one.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And obviously biased because that's the one I prefer. So I'm sure someone could have the same argument with like the Labyrinth if that was their stronger movie. But I stand by my choice.
Yeah. We should listen to the This Was Rad podcast's episode on Labyrinth, which, you know, they have one of their daughters is like the third person on the panel.
That podcast.
So
yeah, this
I
is
wonder
rad.
what she thought about that. So we'll go and listen to that after this for more info. But yeah, I'm always interested in those kinds of experiments, like taking a kid today and having them watch
And
something.
we say this as adults, like this totally holds up. But like we have that nostalgic seed is still in there for us. So it needs to be a complete slate, clean slate. Yeah, it doesn't count at all. I mean, we can talk about it for years, but it will never count. So yeah, I'd be interested to see what she thinks.
Y'all.
But yeah, what else? Lots of synth and jazz sax and flute in this. Awesome. To me, you know what it sounded like? And I wanted to say this to you when we were watching it so you could like have the music in your ear.
But you didn't, so.
No, I don't want to ruin it for you.
Oh.
It sounded like to me the Donkey Kong Country soundtrack. The video game.
Like which world?
Most of the Labyrinth world, where it was like this weird kind of
which
like
world in Donkey Kong Country?
I think just like the whole game in
them?
general. The whole movie sounded like
the jungle one was like. Bum, 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 bum. That's Power Pete. I don't know. From that computer game, Power Pete.
I do remember that.
Like, fire in the hole.
Fire in the hole.
Fire in the hole.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on one moment.
But yeah, you should like. I mean, I wish there was. I should have said it. To
I think
because
the underwater world maybe that I can see happening, but the jungle ones maybe not. So this was like the main jungle level. This is an ad. This is not it.
I was like, that's heartbeat.
All right, loading. Come on, dude.
Is
Welcome
it the one
to my
like
video.
do
Jungle hijinks. It's like the first. It's the first.
It's that right?
Well,
Oh,
well, that's the beginning one. Hold on, let me get to the actual level.
This is deep, guys. Hope you're enjoying this.
He plays the thing. And he's like, "Yay!" Okay. There's drums. It's like
No, there's another. So it's not that world, but it was like.
I think you're thinking of the underwater world, which is this one. Okay, you don't need to start it from the beginning. Okay.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know, not as slow, but it was like I don't know that like. There's a lot of synthesizer in this music, obviously not Donkey Kong, but in Labyrinth, and the like weird saxophone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you were a saxophone player in the 80s, you must have made like $1 bajillion. And then all of a sudden they're like, nope, don't need you anymore. Bye-bye.
Like, we're done with saxophones. Please leave. So now they just do it in like subways and stuff.
I know. That's really sad to me.
I mean, jazz is still a thing. There's still saxophones on jazz. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I feel like if there's a saxophone in any music, it's like immediately dated. It's really sad.
God.
It's a sad thing.
Yeah.
The 80s ruined saxophones.
Oh my God. Must have been like this, like the 90s hit and like all these saxophone players like jumped off bridges with their saxophone. No.
Today on the 5 o'clock news, another tragic accident involving a saxophone player on the Brooklyn Bridge. Oh boy,
A good book to write.
Sure, you write that. I'll
Last
edit
sax.
it. I'll edit it. That's good.
Let's talk about sax, baby.
Let's talk about sax, baby. Talk about you and me.
Sax appeal.
You got sax appeal. That's like that. Remember that All That skit where Katrina, the like little Katrina was always Ross Perot. It was like her main character. It was a very progressive show. I really enjoyed it. Without which I would not have known who Ross Perot was because of this. But there's one part where she's playing like the saxophone and then she looks at the camera and she's like, I've got sax appeal. It's so good. I want to find it.
All right.
But yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I hope we didn't like tear this movie to shreds and you're like the biggest fan and now you're going to stop listening to this podcast. We really honestly have so much admiration, let's say, for this movie. We think it's so good in so many ways, and it's so creative. And like, who can say anything that Jim Henson does? Like, this was the last movie he directed. So
I know.
sad
I did
before
see
he
that.
died. I love Jim Henson to death. I love the Muppets so much. This isn't my cup of tea Muppet movie.
Yeah, I'm more of a Muppet Baby
Yeah.
person.
No, I'm a classic Muppet person.
Muppet
Just
Babies.
Just awesome. And I was brilliant. I thought today, I was like, I don't read like a biography of Jim Henson.
Babies. There is one, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to find out.
I always see one available.
And his son was he did voices in The Return to Oz, and he did a big voice in this one, and did a lot of the puppet stuff. And if you've ever seen that documentary about Elmo, what was it called? Do you remember? Being Elmo or something. So that guy Kevin Clash, yeah, he did like a bunch of stuff in this too, a bunch of voices and the puppeteering. So that was kind of cool. Frank Oz is a couple voices, so the voice of Miss Piggy and Yoda. So it's like that same like kind of Muppet circuit. The Muppet circuit, you know,
It's on the Muppet Family.
but
Muppet
yeah,
Family.
so awesome. So I think this was a great one to bring us back to the 80s.
I think we're back.
Where we belong for.
Back in the 80s, back where we belong.
I mean, we'll do, you know, we'll
I like
we'll
90s
move around.
movies.
Yeah, no, we'll move around.
Okay.
Don't you worry your pretty little
All
head off.
right. Okay, then. So that is it. Follow us on Twitter at The Sweetie Club and on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us. Thank you, as always, for listening. We love you. Bye. Bye.
Hey everyone, this is Nerds with Mics. I'm Travis.
I'm Justin.
And I'm Maxwell.
Nerds with Mics is a podcast about movies, TV shows, games, technology, and Justin's mom.
That's right, we'll talk about games like Siege that Justin plays every single week. A lot of movies that I love, like Aliens, Alien Resurrection. What other ones are coming out? Covenant? Who knows? And also, how about how we poop our pants and each other's pants?
So if you're interested, you can find us on iTunes or your favorite podcasting platform. You can also like and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram by searching for Nerds with Mics. YouTube, we're at Nerds with Mics Podcast. And our website, nerdswithmics.com.
Can't wait to plug it in your ear hole.